The podcast show, y'all. Today, this is the development part. I got another wonderful special guest here. This guest has really got me excited and pumped, and it's really gonna get y'all excited and pumped too. Man, I just welcome to the show. His name is Ronnie Creates. He's a comic author. He makes his own comic books, and it's mainly African American superheroes, which is awesome. And it's his own creation. It isn't Marvel or DC. It's his own unique stuff. And so we're going to have him on the show. He's going to tell us everything so he can be educated and not just educated, entertained by his art. And I'm just excited. So welcome to the show, Ronnie. Tell us all about yourself, man.
It's Brendon. It's Brendon, right? Yeah.
Brendon. Yeah. You're good.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you inviting me on, man. Very exciting.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your stuff, man, how you started, and just say it. Say the whole story.
Okay, the whole story. So, I guess I can kind of start from when I was a kid. I was born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama, and I grew up. Well, I was born in 2002, so around that year, superhero movies were taking off. You know, you got Spider-Man, you got Blade, and all these, Marvel movies and stuff popping off, X-Men. But my character that I gravitated towards was Spider-Man because the first movie that came out around that time, and then the second one came out around 2004. And I was 4 years old when that one came out. And I was old enough to understand what was going on. But Spider-Man was the first character I was exposed to in comics. And then eventually I learned about Superman and Batman, and then the Justice League, and then the Avengers came out, and I was like, whoa, who are all these characters? And then I found out, okay, these are actually coming from comic books. So I feel like I'm a newer fan. I mean, I've been a fan for years. I've been a fan since 2002, but compared to people that were around since the beginning of the comic book genre, movies are kind of how people are introduced to the characters nowadays. But I was one of the ones who saw the early beginnings of early Marvel movies and stuff like that. That's kind of how I got into superheroes. And so Spider-Man was my first character. But then when I got after I was exposed to all that stuff, that kind of led me into the path of wanting to do art as a whole. So I started drawing superheroes and stuff, and I used to make my own characters when I was little, but none of them I really took seriously. And then I used to draw, Marvel and DC characters, but it wasn't until I was in high school that I actually wanted to make a character that was my own, that I would seriously consider making a series. So it was around 2020 I decided to make my character All-Star. And so in middle school I had an idea for All-Star, but he didn't look like how he looks now. This is how he looks. He's got the red and blue, he's a black man, he didn't look like that at all. He was originally a white guy. He wore yellow and blue. And All-Star has this crystal in the center of his chest is blue. And in the original drawing, he had a golden crystal. But I had to think back about it. And it's growing up, most of my favorite superheroes were white. I didn't really question it. I was just they didn't look like me. But then after a while, I was like, well, I want to see more characters that look like me. And then eventually I found out that there were other black superheroes, like Black Panther, Green Lantern, Luke Cage, all these characters, right? And I was like, yeah, I like these characters. And so I wanted to make one. I wanted to make one too. Why wouldn't I make a black superheroes? So that was my first character, which is All-Star. And then 2020, that's when the height of the George Floyd protests were happening, because he had been killed by a police officer, and there were other instances like that where our people were being killed unjustly by law enforcement, and disproportionately. So I wanted to make a character that would talk about those issues, and it would be the perfect blend between civil rights as well as superheroes. And when you think about it, we have a lot of heroes in our community. Everybody knows who Dr. King is, he is an actual hero, that is a hero. We got, Malcolm X. These men were actual heroes in our community. So I wanted to pull inspiration from those guys as well, because they were about justice. And we don't think about it that way. They're just oh, they're regular people, right? But they weren't regular people. They were fighting against injustice. So I wanted to tie that into my character, and he's kind of got that civil rights kind of feel to him, but also like all of my other heroes like Captain America, Superman, Spider Man. He's kind of got those common traits from them as well. So that's kind of what makes All Star. But that's basically how I got started. But I can also talk a little bit about his powers and his story and stuff like that too. Whenever we get the
Well,
chance.
yeah,
But
well, yeah. You could dig in more about that, man. Talk about his powers and stuff. Like, what all does All Star even have?
okay, so basically, I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. So, All Star, his powers, like I said, his powers come from cosmic crystal from space. Here's a page. So basically, this crystal crash landed into his backyard, and after the death of his son was actually killed by a police officer. All Star's powers come from this cosmic crystal, and the cosmic crystal was actually sent to him from this entity in space. But the crystal is actually made up of cosmic stardust as well as stars. So when he comes in contact with this crystal, it basically attaches itself to his chest. And scientists actually say that stars, human beings have a connection to stars because we share the same elements within our bodies that stars do, like calcium's in our bones, hydrogen, what else? Sodium, because we eat, we have salt in our body. Like there's different elements that we share in our bodies that the stars share with us. So basically, once he gets this crystal, all of the elements, the human elements, are increased. So this gives him super strength, invulnerability. He's able to tap into the energy of different stars. So you know how Superman, his powers stem from the sun.
Yeah.
Also, powers stem from the stars. But the sun is only one star. It's a large star, but it's only one star. All Star gets his powers from all of the stars in the universe. So he's able to pull that power from different stars. But stars, when they go supernova, they emit large amounts of energy. He can go supernova. And basically, supernova is like when a star explodes or dies. It lets out large amounts of energy, large amounts of power, more powerful than atomic bombs. So that's just one star, but All Star has the power to tap into multiple stars all at once. So that's almost an infinite amount of power that this character possesses. But I would say he's like a Superman level character.
That's interesting to know, man. I like that. I really do like that.
Thank you.
So he's like Superman, but then you say he's kind of like Spider-Man a little bit too, right? You said.
Well, design wise, those characters they all wear red and blue, and
yeah.
the way the costume is cut, right? Like it kind of has like a Spider-Man feel to it, but
to me, it feels like it brings a Captain Marvel feel to it, like a male African American Captain Marvel. But like it's unique. It's unique though. It really is unique.
Thank you. But Captain America, Green Lantern was a huge inspiration as well.
Yeah, I can see that with the fade, like the fade he has, because like his fade is usually like either it's bald or like it's like kind of like how I got my fade, but like it's like kind of bald on this side and then like he has hair on the top,
like bald, like straight bald. I wanted to have a character whose fade blended and then give him waves too, because I feel like not a lot of characters have waves, So I just wanted to put that in there.
Well, hey, I like that because hey, I got waves myself. But overall, with all that though, on that side though, since you told us about the character, how you made it its inspiration, what have been some things that you noticed like with this character, not Supernova, All Star. With this character, All Star, what have you noticed? Like, has anybody really reached out to you? Has there been any events you went to in the past, to now? Like, how has this character really inspired you or helped you on your personal growth and your purpose?
Well, I think the character he's tied to me on a personal level because I put a little bit of myself into the character. His son was killed by law enforcement, and I feel like at heart I'm an activist, but like I'm not as vocal about it as most people are. So I used my activism in a way creatively, like with my art. So with All Star, because this thing happened to him personally, he is kind of like thrusted into the position of being an activist in a way, but he's like a superpowered individual that can speak up about issues, you know? And I feel like I kind of draw parallels to All Star in that regards because we both care about justice, we both care about fairness, we both care about those types of things, quality. And I would just say that character, like whenever I'm faced with like challenging questions, you know, about life, sometimes I do have moments where I'm like, what would All Star do? You know, like randomly, like I'd be like, what would this character do in this position? You know, and it's like I know that he's a character that's he's morally incorruptible. He stands on his belief. He's also a God fearing man. Even though he has all of this power, he still believes in God. You know, like
That's
it's
good.
you know, like he prayed before he gained his powers. He actually prayed to God that there would be some sort of justice, that there would be something, you know, that you know he could get justice for his son, and then he gets these powers, and now he becomes that justice. You know, so that's kind of like the thing. But I'm also Christian as well. I believe in God,
Yeah.
so
Same for me.
that ties into yeah. So
Yeah.
those are some things that kind of like the connection that I have with me and that character.
Yeah, and that's good though that you say that with the Christ factor, that because not a lot of superheroes really reference God besides, like, I would say maybe like Peter Parker's a Christian. I think Batman is a Christian, and like that's basically it. And Captain America, of course, because he represents America. And, you know, in America historically, Christianity is connected to that. So Captain America is Christian, but outside that, most characters don't even reference like God or Jesus or nothing because like it's in a fictional world. So like, how in the world would you reference that as a higher power if you already have people that has the same attributes kind of similar to the higher power in our
Right.
reality that we live in, you know what I mean? But I like that though, that you really add that in because not a lot of superheroes really add in, you know,
Oh
Jesus or like that, you know?
yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I did it. But also too, it's like I will say that I didn't want to make him a Christ-like figure because there is only one, you know, Christ, right? So I wanted to make him human. Like, you know, like the thing with Superman is like he's from another planet. He was born and raised on Earth, but you know, so in some interpretations of Superman, they kind of make him like this Christ figure. But All Star is just a human that has gifts that were given to him by a higher power, basically, and he recognizes that you know something gave him these powers, and that there is something that is more powerful than him out there that's pulling the strings. So that's kind of the whole thing with my character. Like, even though he has power, it's like, okay, well, somebody gave me this, you know, so they must be more powerful than me, you know, like logically speaking.
Yeah, I was looking at your Instagram while you were speaking, and I saw how you were expanding Radical Comics. Are there like any other things you're trying to do with Radical Comics? Like maybe add in new superheroes, maybe make like a universe to this? Like how are you trying to expand the comic books?
Most definitely. I will say that because I'm only one person, I can only put out so much work. But I do have other people that are part of the team that are also artists and writers that have their own stories that are waiting to be published, and they're taking their time. And we're gonna pop out and we're gonna do our thing when the time is right. But you know, for now, I've kind of just been the one, you know, doing everything in regards to like promoting my books and my work because I mean I'm the first artist and writer part of Radical because I started it. I'm the CEO of it, but you know, there's gonna be more talent to come. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's the thing though that you say that you're the CEO of it. So it's kind of interesting because you start out on this whole thing on your own, right? Once you start on your own, you started making a social media page. From when you made the page, people started noticing your stuff. Now you got a team. Now you don't. Now you, in a way, you worked your way up on your own to the top, and now you're networking with other individuals that love to see your stuff, or that maybe you want to collaborate with your stuff. And look at the blessing there, which leads to
right,
the audience. If you're listening to this, there's nothing stopping you from pursuing your goals. Like I referenced before on one of my podcast episodes, you have to go through that blueprint of success. Have a skill. Once you have that skill, then utilize it through content. And once you utilize it through content, you can network with other individuals, then that can help you
right.
lead to your success. And that's what you're doing, man. And I'm proud of you that you're really
Really appreciate it.
have came along. You're welcome. You really have came a long way to like building yourself up now to being the owner of your own comic book line called Radical Comics, which is awesome. And do you ever want your comic books or anything to go mainstream in the future, like movies, video games, toys? I see little designs in the back by you.
Yeah. So I was actually blessed by a creator. He No Way Shrimp is his Instagram handle, but he saw my character, and he liked the story of the character, and as well as the design of the character. He was like, "I want to do a figure," and I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so he hooked me up with a figure and did the 3D model. I sent him a photo for reference, and he printed it out and painted it and sent it to me. And then I had a Kickstarter, and he made multiple for me to ship out to people. So some people have like their own figures. Here's a smaller one. This is what the ones that got that received the figures. This is what the figure looked like for those. This one is a lot, but yeah, it's pretty dope. And then there's a cool stand that comes with it. Give me a second.
Yep.
Cool stand that comes with it, and it's detachable, so people can place All Star on there, and it's really cool. I plan on making. I want to make more.
Yeah. I get one of those back there. I just got jokes get mad. Yeah, but I like those though. Those are really nice, man. Like whenever you have a chance to make us one, I'm down to get one too, man, to support your brand, because I like that. I really like that character, and this got me interested, man. I said I'm interested. There are probably some audiences who are interested in this. Where can we find your comic books?
So I do have a link for both All Star Book 1 and 2, because I do have 2 books. So this is book 1. I'm currently stocking back up on book 2, but basically book 1 is like more or less how he got his powers and the situation that leads up to him becoming the hero. And book 2 talks more or less about, why he was chosen, where his powers come from in the first place. So All-Star Book 1, Protect and Serve is book 1. Book 2 of All-Star is All-Star Book 2, Destiny. And if you go to the link in my bio on Instagram, I have a link directly to the website, so you guys can check out the websites and stuff. But it's all out there. It's in my link tree. But
yeah, that's good, man. And I'll make sure I have it provided on the link down below, so everybody can check out your stuff and subscribe to you on social media and on your link trees. Do you have a YouTube as well?
I do have a YouTube. It's all in the link tree. Everything's there. I have a Discord. I have a TikTok, YouTube as well. Everything should be there. Link in the link tree.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I see myself with more books under my belt and a more streamlined business that is able to financially be stable. Where we're making books. We've got more artists and writers under us, and we're just pushing works out. Maybe distribution deals. In 5 years, I think we can do a lot. So, and also, more awesome stories of characters like All Star, and I've got another character who's a werewolf ninja. So that's one character that I have.
Yeah. How has All Star really changed you? Like, how has it changed your whole perspective on life? Not like you're an author and stuff. Like, what effect did it do to you?
I guess I feel like I have a responsibility to the youth to show them that if they have a dream, that they can pursue that dream. And seeing how I've left a mark on like some younger people, I feel like I definitely do have a responsibility to like do this, because when I was younger, I didn't have a mentor, somebody that I could look to that could show me how to do these things. I had to learn everything myself. But I feel like kids are very creative. They have ideas, amazing ideas, but sometimes they need that seed to be sown in them, or somebody to encourage them that they can make something out of their ideas that they have. So like with All Star, I say the book itself, as well as the work itself, has shown me that it's bigger than just me. Like there are kids watching me, that are interested in the same things, and because maybe they're in my city and they see that there's somebody that's in their city is doing something, it inspires them, in some way, or just other people all over, just people that are just watching my journey. Maybe I inspire them to some degree. So I guess that's I kind of look at it in a different lens that way, as far as just like, my effect on people. That makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. I can relate with you with that. Not having somebody to really help you along the journey. I know that as myself because I never really had my father in my life till he actually got older, and I was older then too. And now we're starting to be really good, even to this day, really good. And there was all a lot of things going behind the scenes why he was not doing what he was doing. He was still there, physically, but not there as in like word on word talk. He was just there, like you saw his presence there, but that was it. But
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand you with that aspect, and that's really good because a lot of young men, especially in our community, really needs the help, man. And I know you already talked about this, and you probably already covered it before, but like, how does this really like bring an impact to the African American community? Like, what's your main goal? Like, how do you want it to be? I know you don't describe that, but like, do you have any more you want to say on that? Really?
What was that last part?
Do you have anything to really say about like how this affect the African American community? Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I genuinely believe that with this story, I'm talking about real issues that need to be addressed. As of recently, we saw the news, what happened to Miss Sonia Massey. Like this issue is prevalent, and I think reading a story like All Star can kind of, at least, even though this stuff is real, it can at least give you some semblance of like, peace. Some people don't see justice, when they experience a loss like that. But with this story, this character is like, no, like even those who are supposedly supposed to protect and serve, they also too should be able to be held accountable. And I think this book is more or less about the abuse of power, highlighting the abuse of power, especially in our communities, how policing can lead to abuse of power, and that not necessarily that police are bad, but it's like, when you have people that have a certain level of power, that they should be held accountable. That I feel like that's just what it is. If a doctor does something wrong, they prescribe you something wrong or malpractice, they're held accountable. And I think seeing this story, you see firsthand his perspective as a father. He's a loving father. First of all, that's one thing. My character is a loving father, and I think seeing men like that in our communities is important. He's a God-fearing man, he's a loving father, military man, he's a Marine, and he's also a husband. And so it's like he is what I feel like men in our community should look at and aspire to be. But also the issue that is plaguing our community is being addressed in this story. So I feel like it's talking a lot about the things that are relevant in our communities. But just seeing a powerful black superhero too is like, you got all these powerful you got all these powerful white superheroes. I feel like, seeing one that's like powerful, he's not a side character, or he's not a character that gets a mantle from a white character. He stands on his own. And no shade to Miles Morales or Falcon, but I kind of want to see a character that's like, he stands on his own and he's who he is. He's not getting the hand-me-downs from another character. And one thing that we see too is that with a lot of black characters, people try to discount them and say, "Oh, you're not Spider-Man. This Miles Morales, he's not Spider-Man. He's just a guy that wears the costume, or Sam Wilson, Captain America." They'll say, Sam is not Captain America, and it's like you have to argue with these other nerds, and it's like, no, like I don't feel like we should have to do that. Like it should be an embrace, but they don't embrace those characters. But with this character, he stands on his own. He is the centerpiece of the universe that I'm building. He doesn't have to fight over a mantle given to him from somebody else. He is that guy. He is Superman. He is the Captain America of his universe. So that is what I want to expose and show people, that you can be the main character in your story if you're from our community. So that's one thing that I wanted to show. But
And that's so true, man. Because I agree with you. Because you get that a lot. If they're a race swap, they're not really good, or like if they're gender swap, they're not really good. And like some characters can be good, and some characters can be bad with that. You know what I mean? And like
Right,
I
right, right.
always look at I always look at it this way too. With Miles Morales and Sam Wilson, I don't like the fact that they are black characters taking the mantle, but also I do like it because they are taking the mantle of the original character, but they're like their own character. If you think about it,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
see Captain America, like he has his shield and super serum, but Sam Wilson has wings and like he's just normal human, and like
Right.
he's kind of like Batman with wings, I'll say. And
Mm.
with Miles Morales, he's kind of different too because see Miles Morales, he's African American, but he's also he has electric powers and he has webs, and he's a little bit more faster. He's a little more faster in agility than Peter Parker would be. And then that's another thing too. We have a lot that's controversial. A lot of black characters, superheroes, some of them either have like a lot of electric powers. Like you have Black Lightning, you have Static Shock, you have Miles Morales, you have Luke. No, not Luke Cage. You have Storm. Yeah, you got Storm. You got a lot of black characters that have electric powers, and like that's not unique neither. And like that's sad that like our mainstream black superheroes are only ones with electric powers, and like the only ones outside that would be Jon Stewart's Green Lantern or Luke Cage or Black Panther, and it shouldn't be that. And then with Black Panther, well, that's already a mess because after Chadwick Boseman died, I personally believe that Marvel has been treating him the right way with the recastment movement. But at the end of the day, I understand their movement why they're doing that. So
Yeah.
once it reboots after Secret Wars, hopefully they bring in a new Black Panther. So I'm not really all hype about that. I'm not upset about that no more like how I used to. They can not
Yeah.
recast Black Panther. It don't matter to me because the Secret Wars coming up. So after that, I think they might reboot it and then bring back a new Black Panther.
I think they'll bring him back. They'll bring
Yeah,
him back.
they should. They should. They should. But you have any like other hobbies you do or anything you do outside of comic books? Like some other hobbies or fun things you do?
I skateboard a little bit. I'm not the best skateboarder, but I like to cruise. Like, I can skateboard. I can go down a hill, without breaking. I'm pretty decent on the board. I'm not Tony Hawk, but yeah. I work out a little bit. I got a pull-up bar. I do different types of pull-ups and stuff. And I also work at an art center, and it's really nice. I mean, I set up for different events. I work for the city basically, but it's city events. But that's more or less what I do.
Okay. And oh man, so there's people on this podcast who are probably looking at this, probably seeing like, wow, that's interesting, wow, that's awesome. What can you tell somebody who probably wants to do the same thing as you, or maybe doing something similar to what you're doing?
Well, I would say if there's somebody watching this and they, or just anybody that has a similar dream as me, I would just say you really have to be passionate about it. Don't just say that you like doing something. You have to have a love for it. Because if you love it, then you'll go through whatever to see that dream, come through. So, with my stuff, there were certain obstacles and things that were put in my face that I had to face. So, now because I love it so much, there are certain aspects of it that I didn't struggle with, like the art, and I had already been drawing, but I would say you'd have to have some sort of basic skills, like with art, to do what I do. You'd have to have the mind to want to learn, because if you're not the type of person that wants to learn how to do things, then you won't get better, and you won't learn how to do certain things in order to progress yourself. Like I had to learn how to do the dialogue bubbles. I had to learn how to do the layouts for the pages and stuff like that. I had to learn how to resize the book and transfer the book into PDF form and uploading to websites and printing and how to print, what website is best for printing, different things, marketing, how to market. Like I had to reach out to people that do animation to do marketing and different things like that, just to get my stuff out there so that people can be drawn to my work, because you have to pull out all the stops because you're a self-publisher. You're not being published by Marvel, you're not being published by DC, but you're a self-publisher. So you have to kind of have to compete in a way. But really, you don't have to think about it as competition. More or less like you're in your own lane doing your own thing as a creator. you know. So you have to have passion, you have to have skill, you have to have grit, and you know those are the things I feel like that would get you really far with art, maybe even further than me. But yeah, that's just a little bit. You know, I don't really have. I guess I don't really have anything else in particular or specific. But
Yeah. No, that's good already. That's good already. You know.
yeah,
Yeah. But I want to ask you is, what do you want your legacy to be?
that's a big question. I'll say that I want my legacy to be one of basically someone who stopped at nothing. You know, at nothing to pursue their dreams. I want my characters to kind of outlive me. You know, even when I'm gone, I want people to still talk about my work and still talk about my art. You know, um, and then maybe inspire the next generation and inspire the next generation to be creators and to tell their stories. You know, to be realistic about it, I do want, you know, for my work to take care of my family. You know, I want my family to be taken care of, you know, with my creations. But I think that is the type of legacy that I would like to leave, that I would like to live, you know, one where people can, you know, enjoy my work as well as my family being proud of me for, you know, all of this stuff that I've been doing. So
Yeah. Well, that sounds good, man. I'm glad you came on the show. Once again, guys, this is Ronnie Creates. He made the character. He's the CEO and author of Radical Comics. This is the main man who made All Star. Make sure to go check out his stuff. Links down below. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. Have any last closing words?
I would say to anybody watching this, pursue your dreams, because if you don't, you will regret it. Do it now. Don't hesitate. Do it now.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.